This podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, hosted by the BatmanUniverse.net. Check out everything related to Batman and the entire Bat family at the BatmanUniverse.net, including news and original content related to comics, movies, television, merchandise, video games, and more. Also, check out some of the other unique podcasts that TBU has to offer. Consider supporting this podcast by becoming a patron on Patreon. Even $1 can go a long way in supporting this content that you enjoy. Look for a link over at the BatmanUniverse.net to offer your support now. And now, on with the show.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tim, former GameStop employee. My name is Tim, and as always, I am joined by Dane, and we are on episode 199. Can you believe it? Just one away from 200. Technically, this would have been our 200th episode recording if we didn't miss our last scheduled episode, but pushing that back a couple of weeks. But still, excited to be at this so close to this milestone number, Dane.
Yeah, and it is, as always, my fault. I couldn't record because I was going back to work that recording week, and I had to take care of some stuff before I went back to work. So that's why we didn't record.
I don't know, Dane. I think you should have told your job just to hold off a little bit so you could record this podcast. Gotta have your priorities straight, right?
Yeah, that would have went over well.
So yeah, we're back now, which we're happy to be. It's always feels a little strange when we're miss a scheduled recording, and feels like forever when we do finally get back on. But yeah, so before we get into some of the stuff we're going to talk about on this episode, we got to begin the show like we always do. I mean, how can we begin without doing our Dark Knight Rises minute by minute commentary, especially where we're getting so close to the end.
And I do want to add one more dead media format.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
Before we get to it. So I don't know if you know this, Tim. I've been holding onto this piece of information for a very, very long time.
Top secret information?
Yeah. So HD VHS.
HD VHS.
Yeah. You're not going to believe it. I saw a YouTube video about this dead media format.
Wow.
It's totally been forgotten by time. I forget the company's name. I want to say it's like SD or something, or it's a bunch of
standard definition, high definition.
Yeah,
the name of the company.
I think it might have just been called DVHS. I'm not sure though. But it was just a bunch of movie studios that wanted to put out high quality VHS tapes. So what they did was they made a VHS tape that would spin twice as fast as your regular VHS player. I guess that helps the image somehow or something. But the problem is that regular VHS tapes, regular VHS players would overheat because the thing is spinning way too fast, right? So they had to create their own VHS player with a fan in it and everything, and to spin that fast without overheating and catching on fire. Do you know how much this thing costs, Tim?
That's what I was gonna ask you that. I'm really curious to see what an HD VHS player would cost.
Do you have a guess?
I'm gonna say $1,000.
Okay. I believe it's between 5,000 and
Oh my
8,000
goodness!
just for the just for the player itself, and each individual VHS tape, the VHS tape, was $40.
Oh wow! So what year was all this?
I can't remember. I can't remember. I'm trying to look it up right now, but
Because was it before HD DVDs and Blu-rays were in that format wars in the mid 2000s, and when
no,
VHS were still relevant?
it was right before DVD.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is called DVHS.
DVHS. Why no H?
Yeah.
Was it
Like
definition
HD
VHS?
or just definition. Yeah, I guess definition VHS. Um, but yeah, this totally blew my mind. Um, I couldn't believe that they tried to put high quality HD movies on VHS tapes. But yeah,
Yeah, me neither.
I just wanted to add that to our dead media format, even though nobody bought this.
This is dead on arrival, right?
Yeah.
Man, yeah, I don't know. I think that might be my new favorite over the VHS to DVD converter.
Oh, right. I I I can't. I still can't believe it.
You blew my mind right there, Dane. So, yeah, without further ado, grab your not just VHS tape, your DVHS tape, your HD VHS tape. Oh, this sounds funny to say. Your Betamax tape, your HD
Oh,
DVD.
but by the way, the D stands for digital.
Okay.
Yeah.
But funny if it was this definition and they left out the high. So your digital VHS tape, I should say. Your DVD, your laser disc, your projector, your Netflix physical media, your Blockbuster video membership card. See, maybe Blockbuster and Netflix physical media would still be around if they had, or mainly Blockbuster, because Netflix didn't mail out VHS tapes, but Blockbuster would have survived if they had digital VHS.
Yeah,
But
no.
sadly, no.
Did Blockbuster ever have Laserdisc?
Not that I remember. I don't think so. But maybe the section was just so small. I never noticed it. But I don't believe they did.
I wonder how many movies came out on Laserdisc.
I know. I'm sure there's a decent amount, but obviously not to the proportions of what DVD became. So, yeah. And then formerly our favorite, your VHS to DVD converted copy, but now dethroned by DVHS.
Yeah.
So if you got all that and you just happen to have a DVHS copy of The Dark Knight Rises handy, that's the version you're going to want to watch now. A digital version that you'll have to rewind once you're done with it to start over. All the joys of the VHS format just digitally now. So
Yeah.
I wish I was watching that right now instead of the DVD.
I know. I wish I had one. I wish I had a DVHS player.
I know.
Um,
I want to take out my DVD right now and just get rid of that format and just have the comfort of the DVHS. Actually, I want to see what the player looks like. Are there images of what a player looks like?
yeah, it's like a big box. It's you know how, as time went on, VHS players got smaller. This went in the opposite direction. Let's make it the big, bulky thing that you have to use two people to put it underneath your TV.
Oh man. Well, I've actually looked up some images right now. I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty big.
Yeah.
But not like quite as bulky as maybe like the first Xbox console was, but bigger than your typical VHS player, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought this to my attention.
I know. I mean, it was just a random YouTube video that popped up, and I was like, "Oh, what is this? Is this a media format I've never heard of?" Clicked on it, and I was like, "If you want to watch a 16-minute video or 17 minute video about it, um, I hold on, let me look it up real quick."
Do they have references as far as what the quality looked like on a player like that?
Yeah. Well, they show it to you.
Yeah. Okay.
The YouTuber is called Techmoan, Techmoan, and the name of the video is When HD Movies Came on VHS.
Okay.
If you want a little mini documentary about the failed format of the VHS.
Oh, I know I'm definitely going to check that out today once we're done recording. That's probably the first thing I'll do. But first, we'll watch what I'm watching right now, a DVD copy of The Dark Knight Rises. And I think you just have your digital copy, right, Dane?
Yeah.
So we are on the 2-hour and 27th minute mark, or the 147th minute mark, and we're going to go to the 148th minute. So, as always, I will give the countdown. Are you ready, Dane?
Yes, I am.
3, 2, 1, play. As Gordon is going through a big explosion. And I think we're going to see the end of Talia here. The bat is just laying down fire and missiles on the truck.
Well, what's the point of this? To stop the truck? Like you think you're gonna, or maybe it's that.
Yeah, I don't think he was trying to blow it up, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Precisely aiming the missile so it wouldn't hit the truck, but maybe just the pavement and the ground so they could do, I guess, what he did right here.
I kind of feel Gordon would have died in that truck crash.
He has plot armor on, Dean.
Oh, yeah. How could I forget? Here's Talia's awkward death scene.
Which was one of our rating scales, I think, for our early episode.
Yeah.
Not the best moment.
No, I don't think we're going to get there.
No, we'll have to save it for the next one.
I don't know. Is Lucius Fox going to make it out, Tim?
With this movie, especially when we were watching it for the first time, you never know who's going to survive and not. So we'll have to stay tuned in 2 more weeks, hopefully,
yeah,
to find
like
out.
You said. But like you said, Tim, plot armor, right?
Depends on the scenario.
Yeah.
Plot armor may not be a stick when it's the final movie of a franchise. So.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But yeah, that'll do it for our Dark Knight Rises minute-by-minute commentary. And with that, for this episode, we're just going to be talking about some of the stuff we've been up to, and in my case, finishing over the last 2 weeks since our last one. So with me, that's going to be finally giving a full review of Final Fantasy VII Remake, because yes, I did beat it this past Thursday as we're recording this episode. And I took my sweet time with it. I know a lot of people beat it within the first 2 weeks, maybe even the first week since the game came out, but I didn't want to plow through a game I've been waiting years for so quickly. I wanted to take my time, experience everything at my own pace, not just plow through the story. I wanted to do some side quests, do some level grinding, all that. So overall, I went about 50 hours before I beat it, and I still didn't do everything. I'm going to kind of do some of the side missions. Well, not the side missions, but some of the other stuff you can do, like those arena battles, level up my character, finish those if I could talk, battle data quests that are available. So still stuff I want to get and finish up some trophies. So even though I finished the main story, I'll be playing Final Fantasy VII Remake for a bit longer. Now, I'm going to throw the spoiler warning out there in case you haven't beaten it yet. And Dane, I know you haven't beaten it, so I'm curious to where you left off on.
Yeah, you see, I'm not really sure how far I am. I just got dressed up as a woman.
Okay.
Yeah. And I played through that a little bit. Finally met back up with Tifa. It's and I forgot how long it had been since I played as Tifa or fought as Tifa, you know. And I just saw the scene where Cloud gets taken back to that guy's room. Like
Yeah.
he's
Okay.
the one that got picked,
Yeah.
and Tifa and Aerith are get taken to the room with all the other guys, and they beat up all the other guys. That's where
Okay.
I'm at. Yeah.
Cool. So you're pretty much about halfway through, I would say.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, with this game, I don't know if you feel the same way because I know you have better memory than I do. Um, but some of these parts I have no memory of. Like I know this whole scene was in the original game, right?
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, but not all the stuff with Aerith before this, right?
Yes and no, kind of a thing
It
where
wasn't as
wasn't as fleshed out,
expanded
I would.
upon. Yeah, fleshed
Yeah.
out.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, it like with this remake or remix or whatever reimagining, whatever you want to call it, it's like
it's officially called remake, so I think that's what we could call it.
yeah. Um, there's been some scenes where it's like I don't remember this at all. But there's some scenes like when you're on the train, where it's like, yeah, I remember this like the back of my hand,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah,
But anyway, yeah,
that's really what I love about it because it's been a long time since I played the original all the way through, and as I'm playing through the remake, there's moments where yeah, I remember this and it's awesome seeing it retold this way, looking so great and amazing. And then there's moments where I'm like, oh, I don't remember that. This is cool. But then also I would kind of, after almost each section I would do, I just go on YouTube and watch a walkthrough of the original Final Fantasy to see kind of what was there that I didn't remember that the remake did tell. I was like, oh yeah, that was in the original one, but I just didn't remember it. Or I'd come across something that was totally new where I go, yeah, this is definitely new and not in the original one. So it's just kind of a nice mix of getting stuff like that. And that's what I loved about the game. To me, it was just everything I would hope for in this remake, in the lead up, that in the 5 years waiting to get it,
yeah,
and even just thinking before it was officially announced, because it was something a lot of fans and gamers wanted, was a remake of the original Final Fantasy. So I'd say it was even long. The wait and the expectations even longer than 5 years because it was something that we've always wanted. And remember back in 2006 when they were showing off the first look at the PS3 and they showed that tech demo of the opening for Final Fantasy VII and what it would look like on a PS3. So even that was kind of like our first glimpse of, oh man, this is what a remake of this game could look like. And 15 years later is when we finally got that. And boy, did I love it. Part of me, when it was first announced, was a little disappointed that it wasn't going to be the whole game. It was going to be broken down into several different releases. But once I heard they were just going to really flesh it out and it was just going to tell the Midgar portion of the game, but yet expand upon it, add more new characters, add more missions, expand on previously minor characters like Jesse, Wedge, and Biggs, and just make it a full-blown game. And I was okay with that. And to me, it just delivered on all fronts. The graphics obviously were amazing. The voice acting was great. There's new voice actors from what we've had I have become accustomed to with the Final Fantasy characters that you saw in Advent Children, Kingdom Hearts, and some of the PSP games. We've gotten used to those voice actors. I was a little disappointed they weren't coming back, but the new ones did a fantastic job, and I thought they gave great performances and just really captured the essence of their characters. So that was great. The remix of the music, my goodness. Final Fantasy VII was one of my favorite video game scores, and they just did a fantastic job remastering those classic themes and the classic score for it. Just making it sound more modern, I guess I would say. And sometimes I don't always like that when they take classic video game scores from like the 16-bit or this case 32-bit era where it's not full blown, orchestra played with real music. It's mainly done on synthesizers. To me, there's a charm about that, and I just love that quality of video game music. So sometimes when it gets redone, where it's done by a full orchestra or a full band, it sounds good, but it loses that charm to what I love about some of those old school video game scores. But this one I think was done right. The remaster of them captured the essence, and I felt the charm, but still making it a little modern for the modern visuals we were seeing on the screen. So that was really great. Nobuo Uematsu's scores is just amazing, and I'm blanking. Unfortunately, I can't remember the person who did the remix and the score for this game, but they did an amazing job with capturing the essence of why that score is so amazing. And then just the gameplay aspect. I mean, the new combat system I loved immediately from playing the demo, but the more you play it and as you make your way through the game, it just becomes more fun and fun as you get new abilities, equip new materia, learn to get new summons, and just the different ways you can maneuver your team and squad in battle. It's just so much fun, and obviously it's more action oriented. And I love JRPG turn-based combat. I was hoping that this one would have that when it was originally announced, but it does have that other mode where you can have that classic gameplay. But I stuck with the new way because it was just so much fun, and I know that was kind of the way the developers were intended it for you to experience. This remake was this new gameplay mechanic, and I loved it. Coming from an old school JRPG fan who loves turn-based stuff, I fell in love with this new one as well. So everything about this game just clicked for me. And the story aspect, I just can't say enough how great it was experiencing at least this first portion of the Final Fantasy story with these great characters again, because they're just really some of the best in gaming, in my opinion. And just to have them be fleshed out like this was just a dream come true. The interactions between Barrett and Cloud, I didn't realize what a funny and fun character Barrett is, and his interactions with Cloud, especially later on as you get closer to the end. There's just some great stuff between them. I just love their banter that they have. And then with Cloud, the relationship he has with Tifa in the beginning, and then his meeting with Aerith, and just how, because when you know what happens later on in the game, it's just going to become that much more impactful once you see it happen. And just the relationship that's being established when you first meet Aerith, and some of the side missions that you do in the game that just builds their relationship is just great, because the side missions are something that's not very essential to the overall story. They're kind of doing some fetch quests and taking care of some business for townspeople and in the slums. But what I loved about them is that the building of character did for who's in your party, whether it's Cloud and Tifa at the beginning or later on in the middle, it's Cloud and Aerith. It just builds up the characterizations of them, and like I said, their relationship that just really make you care about them as characters. So it's just really great, and I felt how it established that. And then it just reminded me what a great ensemble Final Fantasy VII has. And we don't have the full cast yet. Right now, we just got to see Cloud, Tifa, Barrett, Aerith, and then later on Red 13, which comes near the end of the game, obviously, if you remember the final portion of the Midgar section. But I loved it when he showed up. His character model looked amazing. His voice was great. I meant to look this up. I should have done it. But the voice actor sounds a lot like the same actor from Garrus from Mass Effect, who was my favorite character in that game. And I could totally see it sounded similar. And to me, it makes sense if they used him, because you kind of have some similarities to Red 13, I think, as a character and their personality. So I got to look that up and confirm if it is, because it did sound like him. But it was perfect casting, regardless if it is or not. The voice was perfect for Red 13. And just getting that character and that ensemble dynamic between all these characters was just so great. Just a great reminder of why I love this game, its story, and its characters so much. And they just did a great job.
See, that was one of the things I was trying to remember. When do we meet Red 13? I just couldn't remember when that exactly happened. But he is in this game, right?
He is in the game.
First part. Okay.
The only thing is, he joins you in battle, but you can't switch to him like you can the other characters. I think because it's just so late in the game, there's not much you could do to customize him. I mean, you can for what you have, but I guess to really personalize him, maybe they wanted to save it for the second one, where he'll probably fully be in your party, but he still helps you out in battle, which is great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just playing through, especially the last few chapters, I thought were great as you're making your way through the Shinra building and trying to rescue Aerith. There's just some great moments in there, and visually there's some great cutscenes that kind of shows you the history of the world of Final Fantasy VII, which was awesome. And just again, one of these, especially near the end, seeing so many memorable moments from the game be brought to life like never before, and in different ways. Because near the end, this is where I notice a lot of stuff changes, or it's not necessarily big changes, but things play out a little differently. And I won't spoil it here for you, Dane, or those who are listening who haven't beat it yet, but I was taken a bit surprised by some of the stuff that happens. And there's one thing that maybe I wish was left the same as it was in the original. Now, this is going to be a minor spoiler, but if you played the original, you know what happens. You know, in the original one where you're making your way through the Shinra building and you see the dead body of the president and you realize Sephiroth is the one who did it. Yeah. That plays out differently in this one. It's still cool how it does, but I like the tension it built in the first one where you see the dead body and you're kind of wondering, oh, is like Sephiroth really alive again? As Cloud's thinking, I think you see his sword in the back of the Shinra president, and you're just like wondering what's going on, and it creates this mystery of who's doing this. That's kind of lost in how it's done in the remake, but there's still some other big stuff that happens in there that makes it pretty impactful as well. So it's kind of not a change for the worse, but it's just different. And I just like both. So and then that kind of continues to the very end. And this I won't give any spoilers on, but the ending chapter and the ending sequence, it goes on beyond the motorcycle chase that you would play and experience in the original one, which is awesome. Seeing that play out with these amazing graphics was really cool. And that there's a really cool cutscene of Cloud coming down on the motorcycle that you remember from the original. It was just awesome. But there's some big stuff that happens after that in the final mission that you have to do, which took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting to do the things that you do in that final mission and see some of the things that you see there. But in the end, it just made me appreciate the setup that it's building for what's to come in the future installments, because that's what I think is so great about it. You know the story, you know what comes next if you played the original, but the way that this game and how it ended build up for what these characters are going to do next, it just made me want that next game ASAP, because I just can't wait to continue their story and their journey, even though I experienced it almost 20 years ago. So it just did a great job of making it feel brand new again for me as someone who's loved this game, who has played it a bunch of times and just, really appreciates the story and these characters. And that appreciation is being manifested by those who developed and remade this game, because obviously they're showing the care and respect that this game deserves to make sure they got this remake right. And I think they nailed it on all fronts. And see, I can't go into spoiler because once you beat it, Dane, I'll be curious to hear your thoughts, because part of me is a little bit kind of what I was talking about in the beginning, not the beginning, but what of the reveal of the Shinra president being killed. There's something that happens in the end that I'm wondering if they should have went that route. But at the same time, I love playing it. So again, I don't want to go into too much spoilers, but it's one of those things where I'm just curious to see how you'll react to it once you play it. If it's something that you think, I wonder why they decided to go this way when maybe it should have been done later. So definitely let me know once you get there. But it's still a great experience to play that final sequence. So yeah, I absolutely love this game. I cannot be more happy with how it turned out. And the hardest part about it is going to be waiting for the next one. I just really hope it's not another 5 years. I've heard I think like a week ago, the game director, Tetsuya Nomura, said that they're thinking of maybe making the next installments a little bit shorter so they can get them out quicker, because if the next one is the same amount of length and content that this one is, it might be a bit of a wait. And part of me thinks that's a hard decision, because will I be willing to wait to have another complete full game, or just to continue on the story and that momentum and kind of getting smaller chapters and doses of it at a more shorter distance? I think that would be good too, just so it's because the thing is, it's Square. When it's them developing a game and saying things might take long, you got to double that from what other game developers would do, because Square is notorious for taking forever on their games. And I don't think waiting another 5 years for the next one is going to be the smartest move, especially when you got more of the game to do. It's not like the next one's going to finish out the story. So I don't want this whole thing to last 20 years. I mean, can you imagine if it takes 20 years to finish this whole Final Fantasy VII Remake? So maybe getting the smaller portions of it quicker is the best way to go. So we'll see. I just hope it's not super long. And the last thing I'll say about it is I think it's great for newcomers to jump in, because I've talked to a few people on Twitter saying how they're not big Final Fantasy or RPG fans, but they played the demo and really liked what they played and are going to get it eventually. And to me, I just love hearing that, because this game, I think, perfectly is one where any newcomers to Final Fantasy or RPGs, it's a great jumping on point. It's not too difficult. It's not some complicated gameplay system that you have to really spend a lot of time diving into and getting familiar with to get comfortable with it. The materia system is basic to learn about, but you can fall into wanting to level up every single materia and mixing and matching the different materia with characters, so you can have fun with it. It's not complicated, but there's a lot that you can do with it that I think newcomers will really enjoy and will really like that new action-based style of combat and gameplay that goes with it. So I think it's a great game for newcomers and who's never played Final Fantasy to jump in on the franchise and experience for the first time. I think they're going to love it and just hopefully get engrossed and love the franchise that as much as I do once they play this game. I think it's totally on that level that can do that. So yeah, I'm going to score it. There's no doubt in my mind that it deserves a perfect 5 out of 5 for me. I absolutely loved it. It was worth the wait. It's probably going to be my game of the year. It's going to take something truly amazing to top it for me this year. But man, I just really glad we finally got this and that it met my expectations. I cannot wait for more. So yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake, definitely a home run, and was something that was several years in the making and was something that I'll just always appreciate that we finally got, and that it was done with love and care that made for a great gaming experience.
Yeah, you mentioned that Square takes forever to release their games. Well, in this particular example, it really, really shows, that they do take a long time, but they're improving stuff,
Yeah, I just look at the quality of it.
Yeah.
It was definitely worth it, that's for sure. So Dane, you gotta hurry up and beat it. I want to talk about that.
I know. Okay, so it's President Shinra dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you said there's something about that.
It plays out differently, yes.
Okay.
And then just the very...
Can I guess it?
Sure, go ahead. I guess I'll throw out the spoiler warning out there too, in case you guess it right and I say what it is for those who don't want to know.
Okay. So President Shinra is not killed by Sephiroth. He is killed by Tifa.
I'm sorry, Dane, but that is incorrect.
Okay, so that's strike one. Okay, strike two.
You're ready to call it a strike?
Yeah, I'm just ready. President Shinra is killed by that house that you fight, the Hell House.
You know what? I love that battle because it was so crazy, and it was one of the, to me, not most difficult, but it took the longest, I think. Maybe I didn't have the right materia equipped, but it was a long battle, but I had fun with it.
I was going to say the same exact thing. I liked it a bit too long, I'd say, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm assuming that's wrong. So strike three. President Shinra is killed accidentally by Cloud.
Strike three, you're out, Dane.
Okay.
So when you get there, you got a nice surprise waiting for you.
Okay, yeah. Okay, good. My totally crazy theories are not true.
Yeah, the game didn't go that far off into new directions to change the story that much. And I guess real quick, just to say what my favorite sequence was, because I was thinking about it, I love the final last few chapters. Like infiltrating the Shinra building was great, but probably my favorite chapter is when Shinra is going to drop the Sector 7 plate and you're Cloud meeting up with Barret and Avalanche and making your way up to the plate to try to stop it. That was a great, intense sequence. And
Yeah.
it was fun. And that goes into the story aspects of what they did with characters like Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse, expanding their characters and making the moments that play out there stand out even more so. So I really love that entire sequence. And then you get into the aftermath of dealing with the fallen plate afterwards. So I really loved how they recreated that entire sequence from the original. So I think that one would be my favorite. And you're pretty close to that one, Dane. So you just gotta make your way through Don Cornero's I guess when
Weird.
they yeah his bride selection, I guess. Yeah. They did a
Yeah,
great job of recreating that classic funny moment from the game as well, and even expanding on that a little bit too.
yeah. That one materia isn't in that room though. When you get into his mansion,
Oh, which one?
I forget, but I remember specifically. You know that room that Don Cornejo is in
Yeah,
that you have to go in to continue the story. If you go to the door on the left, I think there's three doors. There's one. The middle one is where, or there's one on the right. The middle one is where Don Cornejo is, and there's one on the left. And there used to be in the original game. There's a materia in that game. I
was
don't know
it?
if you remember that,
No,
but
I don't.
I don't know why I remember that. I honestly don't know why I remember that, but
You
I
don't remember what the
remember.
material was? It was like a
No,
missable one. If you don't get it there, you miss it forever.
I can't remember. I can't remember which one it is, but
Well, I'll have to check that
um,
out in that walkthrough video I've been watching as I made through the game
yeah.
of the original.
For me, the honestly, the Hell House is my favorite sequence so far. I mean, it's not like a big story sequence or whatever, but there really hasn't been that many besides meeting Aerith.
Mm. Well,
No,
more is definitely coming for you pretty
yeah,
soon too.
yeah, especially with Red 13. Now I'm
Yeah,
excited
I know.
because like I was wondering, is like, are they just gonna hint at Red 13, or is Red 13 gonna actually be in the game? Because
It's
I don't think Red 13 was in any of the promotional stuff, right?
I think not until the very end, so close to the game's release. I think probably in the final
Yeah.
trailer when they gave us a first look at him. I didn't want to watch
Oh,
that
right.
final trailer
Yeah, yeah,
because we're
yeah,
so
yeah,
close. But it's cool how they did
yeah,
it too, because they kind of give a tease to where you see him before he actually officially joins your group, and it's like, oh, there he is, and you just can't wait for him to officially come and join your party. So I really like how they did it.
yeah, yeah. Oh, good, good.
So yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake, awesome. And that's what I've been spending most of my free time doing in these last few weeks, and probably spending more of my free time doing that. But Dane, you've been spending some of your free time doing something I'm really excited to talk to you about, as you are
Okay.
on another turtle craze. You caught the turtle fever again, but this time on the
Yeah.
comics front.
Yes. Not only on the comics front, but also on the movie front. And I'm gonna tell you why. It's kind of I gotta go back a bit. So a couple weeks ago, I'm not working. There's quarantine going on. I don't know if you know this, Tim, but there's a pandemic going on around the world. I don't know if
I've
you
heard a
heard
little
about
bit
it.
about that.
Okay. Um, but yeah, so I was at home, bored, not really doing anything, can't really do anything. There's a stay-at-home order. Uh, yeah, so I just went on YouTube and I just going through that main homepage that you always go through, and I
Scrolling down
accidentally
all the recommended videos.
not only recommended videos, but look at this video or look at that video, and then there's
uh,
the COVID-19 videos. And I accidentally, I can't say that enough. I can't drill that into your head enough.
okay.
Accidentally clicked on the COVID-19 is a hoax. It's a government
Oh boy.
plan, conspiracy theory thing. I accidentally clicked on one of those videos, and I was like, "Oh no!" And I quickly hit the back button, and then
Good.
I was like, "Oh, thankfully, I didn't see anything. I don't want to see any of that.
And hopefully that click doesn't count towards one of their views. Don't you have to watch a few seconds or minutes of a video to count as like technically a view?
I hope that it's you are right, Tim. But so I click back, and then I watch another video, and then I close YouTube, and then I don't know, a couple hours later I open up YouTube again, and it's just a bunch of these. COVID-19 is caused by 5G. So
I hate it when it does that, right?
yeah. So what I had to do was I had to just type in random stuff. Okay, Final Fantasy VII. I'm gonna watch the trailer. I'm gonna watch this let's play. I'm gonna.
At the same time, you
Okay,
got to be careful with that too, because it might start recommending spoilers for the game, like
right,
the whole end
right.
sequence.
So okay, let's go Star Wars. Okay, maybe that's not such a good idea. Okay, so let's go anything.
Because you're going to
And
get
then I
tons of
see,
videos of how Disney ruined Star Wars and Star Wars
yeah,
is dead.
Disney ruined Star. And why is Ray a Jedi and all this other stuff,
All that
right?
nonsense.
So
Yeah.
so I'm just going through that main page trying to find one video that I can watch that's long that will help change my YouTube main page. And what shows up, Tim? Out of all the things we've ever talked about, you and I, out of every single thing, what comes up?
Can I say?
Somebody. Okay, go ahead and guess.
I was going to guess. Oh, this is what I'm hoping for. It's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles out of their shells content tour video.
You got it. You got it, Tim.
Yes.
You got it. So somebody posted the entire thing on VHS, a VHS transfer. And I watched it. It is quite possibly the greatest. It's definitely the greatest Turtles movie. I mean, we're not going to be karate fighting. There's a little bit of that. You can tell they put zero effort into learning the moves.
I'm sure it's mainly try to do dance moves look like karate moves.
No, it's just like, okay, I'm slowly punching you. Okay, I'm slowly kicking the other foot ninja. Okay, we're done. It's sort of like
while singing and playing their guitar still, right?
Oh no, it's a full-on fight scene. They're instruments. But the Foot Clan invades their sewer den or whatever you call it. But yeah, it is the greatest piece of Turtles footage I've ever seen. Ninja Turtles footage I've ever seen. It's you know what, Tim? This is my definitive Ninja Turtles. You know what? Forget the IDW comic. Forget all of the other comics. Forget the movies, the Michael Bay movies, the trilogy in the '90s. Forget all that, Tim. It's out of their shells for me.
It's like, why even bother making any more incarnations of the Turtles? They can only be downhill from that, right? That's as high as it's going to be.
I'm thinking of starting a hashtag on Twitter, not my turtles. It's anything besides out of their shells. It. Want to own this for to watch it repeatedly. I mean, the songs. There's a splint. I don't know if you've heard the Splinter song.
Yeah, he has a ballad, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's like a ballad about like skipping stones on the water and like the rings that the the water the stone makes in the water is like life or something. Oh
Oh
man,
wow.
and it's the greatest piece of Ninja Turtles franchising it's the best piece of franchising I've ever seen in any franchise that ever existed, Tim. Forget Star Wars, forget the video games, forget all of that. It is this Ninja Turtles out of their shell concert series.
I mean,
Oh man,
talk about
it's
something that needs a reboot. I mean, they should bring that back.
yeah, they're talking about
Same
rebooting the movie.
costumes and all, with the denim
Forget the
vest.
movie. Yeah, the denim vest, and my my favorite thing is how they is how they put zero effort into into the turtles costumes.
You mean they just did it as a cash grab? No.
The turtles costumes, the the uh the set design, and of course the fight choreography. Everything is into the dancing and the singing and the songs. It's I wish they would do this with other franchises, Tim. I just wish. But yeah, so I got curious. I mean, I was like, oh yeah, this is. I remember watching this with Tim. I remember Tim telling me about this, and I remember Tim telling me about how good the IDW comics were. And so I started reading the comics, right?
Hmm.
And I these comics are the greatest. And they
Makes me so
they
happy to hear
they,
that.
they blend the sort of campiness um, with a serious side. Um, they have that right mix. I mean,
Hmm.
you have something like Batman versus Superman where it's so dark, and they tried so hard to make it so dark, and it just didn't work, especially with Superman. But then you have something like this where they are teenagers, right? Which is kind of a criticism of the Michael Bay movies because you kind of don't see them as teenagers, but in in
I'd say
the
you kind
IDW,
of do in the second one, but not so much the first one. But still,
maybe
yeah. I know what
Michelangelo,
you mean.
not Raph or Leonardo, but I feel like they strike the perfect balance of seriousness and this sort of campiness.
Hmm.
Um,
Without question.
but what I really like is their origin story. Um, I really didn't like their movie version of it, where Splinter is in a cage next to where his master is
Hmm.
training or whatever, and he
Yeah, that's
one of the
something where
greatest scenes.
I respect that they followed the origin directly from the comics, but that was never my favorite aspect of the Splinter character. I'll be honest. I did like the change that the animated series did, where Splinter was actually a human, a martial arts master who turned into a rat. I think that just works better for the character. But yeah, the IDW one took it to a whole nother level.
Right, right. Um, and also one of the greatest scenes in movie history, I'd say, Tim, is the animatronic rat doing the kung fu moves in the in the cage. But yeah, it's the origin story about how they were lab experiments at Stock Gen, and Splinter. sort of breaks them out, and the Foot Clan uh, attacks and everything and all that. But you pair that with the Splinter's backstory in ancient Japan, where he's like this ninja warrior, and he decides not to be a part of the Foot Clan anymore. And then the Foot Clan eventually catches up with his family, and they kill his 4 sons and his wife, and then they kill him. But then they're reincarnated in these turtles, which is really weird to say out loud, but it works really, really well.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, let's say this was a proposed plot for an upcoming movie, and the details leaked out, and that's what you read. You'd probably think, how can this work? This is a terrible idea. But boy, does it work so well in the comic stories, and just adds so much layers and history to their characters that just adds to that family dynamic that you love about Turtles and Splinter so much. It was kind of a controversial change, but one that in the end I think worked brilliantly for what it did to these characters.
Yeah, isn't there some, because I was watching some YouTube videos about like how they Turtles fans don't want it so much, so they don't want so much of the, is it mysticism or is it science fiction?
It's kind of a combination of both, where you could look at it really, because it is kind of that mysticism in the beginning with their origins and their reincarnation type stuff, but it's still science fiction, the science aspect of how they get mutated into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Splinter as a rat. So there's kind of a nice blend of both.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just enjoying the comics. They're cheap on Comixology if you want to buy them. I mean, the first book is $7, and you do get a full story, and it's just the perfect marriage of like this Turtles campiness of the TV show. I'm not sure about the original comic, but at least the TV show, the movies. But you have this serious side about, this ancient evil of the Foot Clan and Splinter's backstory. So they just, it's so perfect, Tim, and I love the art. It's not, it's not this high quality sort of Jim Lee Batman sort of thing. It retains its indiness, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's perfect enough, and there are some big splash pages that I was like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just so perfect. It's just so perfect. Yeah.
Let me ask you, what issue are you on right now, or what story aspect are you at?
Hold on. Let me tell you specifically. Okay, they meet Angel.
Okay, so you're still kind of fairly early on.
Yeah, I'm on the 3rd trade.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's like 25 of them.
Yeah, that's over 100 issues now, so there's quite a few. But
one big criticism I do have of the comic, Tim, is, I don't know if you've watched the original movies, you've watched Out of Their Shells, you've watched the newer Michael Bay movies, which, I gotta say, with the Michael Bay movies, I do like them because they're bad.
To me, they're not as bad as everyone makes
fun.
them out to be. They're not great. They're not the perfect Turtles movies, but to me, I still enjoy them, and they still have some aspects of the Turtles that I love in there, which is fun to see.
Yeah, and it's just fun, But anyway, there's one missing thing from the IDW. There's one thing that's missing from the IDW comics, Tim, and that is that
denim jackets or denim vests.
No, a little deeper than that, I'd say. A little more entrenched in the franchise, and I'm using that word franchise.
Okay.
Which is, with this IDW comic, it's one thing after another. We got to go back and tell the story of Splinter. We got to, tell the current day story. There's Baxter Stockman, with Krang. There's old Hobbs. There's all of these different little storylines that are going around. It doesn't leave much time, but the one thing that the Turtles always had time for, Tim, was to tell you about Burger King or pizza.
I was going to say Burger King
or Pepsi. They they always had a little bit of time to tell you about this great new product that Pepsi has called Clear Pepsi, or this great new thing that Burger King has called the Whopper. They always had time for that, Tim. So yeah, before we fight Splinter over there, he's standing right over there. I want to tell you about this new product I've been using on my skin, or this new thing that I've been eating, or this new hair gel, or this new toothpaste that I've been using. That's the one thing I'm missing. So with that being said, Tim, the IDW comic, hashtag not my turtles.
Not compared to Out of the Shells. As much as you praise it, I mean, really, how can it compare to that? Oh man! But I am so happy that twice now that Out of the Shells content tour has put you on a Turtles binge and just consumed the actually good turtle stuff. But it all comes back to you watching Out of the Shell. I think that's awesome. But I got to ask you asked me last night, did you read any of the micro issues yet that focus on one specific character?
No, not yet.
Okay, because those are really good.
When did those come out? Did those come out with
pretty much at the beginning
specific issue? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was like a prologue to the series.
It sets up certain things, yeah, and that you might have already seen, but other stuff coming up too.
Okay, so you would be seeing things that, I mean, if you read the micro series, you would be seeing things that make no sense to you.
A little bit later on, yeah, like certain characters are introduced in the micro series, and first encounters between characters are in there, so they're fairly important, especially the 4 turtle ones and the Splinter one, I think. And even some of the villain ones have their own, like Shredder. Old Hob has a really good one too. I mean, anyone who's a cat person can really appreciate the Old Hob issue. It makes you feel for him, so I would recommend that one too. And boy, do I love the cover art for those micro issues. They're done by David Peterson, the guy who did Mouse Guard, and I just love his art style. I think his style perfectly captures a unique version of the Turtles that I just love. There's the Splinter one is one of my favorite comic covers of all time. There's just something about it that I absolutely love. It's just Splinter in his room in the sewers making a pot of tea and about to pour it into I Love New York mug. And the way he's designed, the coloring aspect, there's just something about it. When I first saw it, I was like, this is amazing. I just love this take on Splinter right here. And I think David Peterson's art style really captures a really great look of the Turtles that I wish he would do more of. So I think just for those covers is worth it enough to get those micro series issues, but they definitely add to the overall story of it as well.
Yeah, because when Splinter is kidnapped by the Foot Clan, I forget the character's name. Is it like Alopex or something?
Yeah, Alopex. So you actually meet her first in the Raphael micro issue.
Yeah, and like Splinter says something to the effect of like, "Oh, I've heard about you," and like you fought, I don't know, whoever, So.
Yeah, so that's the
Yeah,
type of stuff you get in those issues.
okay.
And then also, because there's some miniseries that tie into it as well. I haven't read all of them, but one is a must read is Secret History of the Foot Clan, which he really dives into the past of Shredder and Splinter's history and sets up some future story elements that you'll see later on. But that's just a great story in itself. So I highly recommend that and would say it's a must read.
What is this? The Last Ronin. Is it called The Last Ronin?
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles thing?
Yeah, that sounds really cool. It's actually an old concept that Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, the creators of Ninja Turtles, had an idea for as far as the ending of their turtle stories from their original comics. So they're kind of going back and taking that story concept and finally putting it out as a comic, pretty much the final turtle story in their version, which is going to be cool. The Kevin Eastman and Tom Waltz, I believe, are both involved with writing it, and the art looks fantastic. I cannot wait for that. I think it's going to be really cool. We've gotten some end turtle stories. I know the 2012 Nickelodeon series did their own, but to get one that's coming from the actual creators, I think is going to be really fascinating to read. So I cannot wait for that.
Yeah. And can you explain to me what happened between the two creators? Is it Laird and Eastman?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What happened between them? How come they're not, or they weren't talking anymore?
Yeah, they're kind of. I mean, there's a great documentary called Turtle Power that goes into the whole beginnings.
Okay. So don't explain it to me then.
Okay, yeah.
if the story's in that, then because I rented it.
Oh, you did? Awesome. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So I would watch that, Dane, and then afterwards watch the episode of The Toys That Made Us about the Ninja Turtles, because it talks about talks to Kevin Eastman and Peter later in that too, and there's a great ending to that episode with both of them. So I would watch that afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, this IDW comic, Tim, you should have told me about this earlier. What's wrong?
I did. You heard me rave about it so much.
We've been doing this for 10 years, Tim. Almost 10 years.
It's almost as old. The comic's almost as old, or actually our podcast is almost as old as the comic, because the comic started in 2011. Our podcast started in 2012, and I first started reading it in the fall of 2012. So we're almost the same age.
Oh, okay.
I'm just glad you're on board.
Yeah. This awesome. Comic is great. It's a really, really good comic.
So now when you get deeper into it, you could read the Batman and Turtle comic crossovers, because those are, especially the first one, that's great. It's not directly tied into it, but it's kind of taken from the IDW Turtles. So
what about the animated films?
Yeah, you definitely got to watch those now.
Okay, it's not, I mean, it's good. It's not
it's
bad.
amazing. No, it's great. Okay. It's one of the best. Well, I might be biased
what about
here.
Oh,
no, I was just gonna say I might be biased, but it's just, to me, it's one of my favorite animated Batman movies. Their interactions with the Turtles, great. The fight scenes are the best I've seen in a Batman animated movie. It's that good.
Okay, and what about the TMNT? What is it called? Movie, animated film.
That one's really good too. The story aspect is like the main plot isn't my favorite. It's not bad, but it's something different for the Turtles. It wasn't my favorite, but the dynamics between Leo and Raph and their story, that's fantastic in this movie. And it is potentially in the same continuity of the 90s movies, because you do see some references in there of some of the items that were in those original movies. But yeah, the Turtle stuff and the Leo and Raph dynamic in that movie was great. And the animation, I think, is really good too. It still holds up.
It's the one they used for the animated series, right?
No, it was different. The animation style and the crew is totally different from it.
Oh.
But, that's when it comes to Turtles on screen, the 2012 Nickelodeon show is my favorite. To me, it's kind of similar to the IDW, where they do some of their own things, and it's just a nice blend of the comedy aspect of the Turtles, mixing it with the serious stuff and some great action. It's has a nice mix of all that stuff, and I love that. So I go back and forth which one's my favorite, the IDW or the Nickelodeon series.
And I guess the final thing would be, how is the fan base? Is it like Star Wars, where it's like every other person is criticizing something from the Disney
There's a bit of that. I
thing,
mean,
or
I don't visit too many turtle sites. There's one called the Technodrome forums where you really get the fan interaction. Sometimes it could be a little just complaining about everything new that's out for turtles, which is familiar. I think it's just the case of any fan base, but not on the horrible level that sometimes Star Wars and the DC side can get, unfortunately. But, or I should say, fortunately, it doesn't get to that level. But
yeah,
there's a bit of it there.
and is Karaya a bigger character, or is she just like Splinter's assistant? Shredder's assistant.
She definitely gets a bigger role in later issues. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely be a character that is expanded upon. And she definitely plays a big and different role in the 2012 Nickelodeon series, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I gotta watch that again.
Yeah, I believe they're all on Hulu. I haven't checked in a while, but they should all.
What about the rise of the of the TMNT?
Yeah, that one is very entertaining. It's definitely on the more comedic side and skewing to more towards a younger audience, but there's still some fun turtle stuff. It's funny. There's some cool action in there, and they're only like 10 minutes long, so a half hour episode is pretty much 2 10-minute stories combined into one episode. I only watched the first season because it changed different Nickelodeon channels, and the schedule got mixed up where I couldn't watch it, or my DVR wasn't recording it, so I'm behind on season 2. But I enjoyed the first season for what it was. It was fun and entertaining, but you're not going to get the deep story level stuff that you're getting in the IDW comics or the 2012 animated series.
Yeah. Okay.
So you got your Turtles options out there, Dane. A lot of stuff to consume.
Yeah. Yeah, I still have to watch Turtle Power. I bought the TMNT animated movie because it's only like $5.
Nice.
I have to watch the animated series, and of course, how could I not watch Out of Their Shells again?
That's like your religious viewing experience that you have to do. You have to watch it every day or every week to get you out of the shells fixed.
Exactly. One other thing I do have to watch is Vanilla Ice in the second.
Just that sequence, not the entire movie. Just Vanilla Ice.
Sequence. Yeah, and I can't even remember how that starts.
Turtles are just fighting Toka and Razor, the dog and snap turtle mutations, outside of a warehouse. And during the fight, one of the turtles gets thrown into the club, which is in one of those abandoned warehouses. At least that's what it looks like on the outside. Yeah, and they get thrown into the mix of that Vanilla Ice concert.
Yeah, I guess Vanilla Ice liked, past tense, to put on concerts next to scrapyards. Right?
Apparently,
that's where they're fighting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, you said scrapyard, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because the scrapyard was actually the Shredder's hideout in that second movie. That's not where technically that fight took place, and that Vanilla Ice concert was at. It was, like I said, it looked like an abandoned warehouse on the outside.
They should bring him back for this rebooted movies.
That's pretty much where the budget went for the second one, was to get Vanilla Ice.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they got more money.
That much?
Yeah, that's where they decided to spend it.
Yeah, why?
To draw in that Vanilla Ice fan base who are gonna be watching the Turtles movie.
I mean, look, I know Ice Baby was a big hit, but don't know. Wouldn't you want like
Make
I don't know.
more detail into the costumes.
Yeah, or like more time with the script, or I don't know.
Yeah. Not money well spent, I will say.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm glad you're got the turtle fever again, Dane. You know that makes me so happy. So I
yeah,
expect updates when you watch all that stuff. When
yeah.
you
Well, I
progress through the
mean,
comp.
look, I come from the mindset that the Ninja Turtles, especially now that it's this big giant franchise, right?
Mm,
Um, I I come from the mindset that this is for kids. It's marketed towards kids. Um, that's why you liked it, or that's why you like it. That's why you got into it, right?
yeah.
Um, it's marketed for kids, but this IDW comic has this serious adult stuff on it that it's the perfect blend. And I do think that the turtles can do both, and they can do both at the same time. They can do both
Hmm.
separately. It
Yeah.
it can be for kids, or it can be for adults, or it could be for both. And um, I think the IDW comic got it perfect.
Yep, you're dead on. I agree with everything you said there. That's what makes the turtles so great and why I
Yeah.
love them so much. So yeah, awesome. I always love talking about turtles, and now I'm glad I can do it more with you on the IDW comics, which is awesome.
Yeah. I've actually been watching this YouTube, and YouTube's coming up a lot in this episode, but I've been watching this YouTuber. I forget his name. Uh, it's like the Den of Turtles or something.
Okay, I think it's the old turtle
The
den.
old turtle, yeah, the old
Yeah,
turtle den.
yeah, I've watched his channel
Yeah,
too. Hmm.
yeah, it's a really good channel. He goes into like what went wrong with the Michael Bay movies and all sorts of stuff, and
Yeah, give some
he even
insight to
had
the
a
original movie,
he
where like
even
there's some.
has a yeah, like what you can miss. There's the reboots. Um, the he has a whole thing about Shredder in the original movie. So yeah,
Yeah, that's a great channel. There's one that I really like that went into some of the deleted scenes and concepts in the original movie that were filmed, and I would love to see put back in there for like a extended cut, or at least put the deleted scenes out there as an option to see, because I think some of them were pretty cool. So yeah, definitely check out that channel. It's really good. You can get a lot of turtle information on that channel, and it's very insightful. But
yeah.
yes,
Who is Tom Waltz, and why have I not heard of him before?
well, he's making his name known with the Turtles comics.
Yeah,
That's where I first heard of him as a comic writer.
yeah, yeah. He's great.
Yeah, he really is. And he leaves after issue 100, but the current writer, Sophie Campbell, she's doing a great job with the new stories going on right now. And she does some amazing art. She did some, I believe she did the Leonardo micro issue, and she does a few arcs over the course of the main series. But I love her art style, but now she's proven herself as a great writer too. So the consistency of that comic, I think, is unparalleled from issue 1 all the way up to now, which I think is issue 104. There's been some stories maybe you don't like as much as the others, but I don't think there's really been a bad one throughout all those issues. And that's just a testament to the quality and the talent of the writers, the artists, and everyone involved with that series. It's just so consistently good.
What's what's her name? Sophie
Sophie
Campbell.
Campbell, yeah.
Oh, there she is. Okay. I just want to see her artwork real quick.
Yeah, it's a great style. I think that really fits the Turtles. Kind of what I was saying about David Peterson's style. There's so many styles that could fit the Turtles, but when they're very unique in their own way, and that's what I love about these different Turtle adaptations that we get, to see these different styles and see which ones work better than others as far as Turtle designs. But when there's ones that really click, it's just really cool to see.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it looks good. They look bigger. than where I am now.
Yeah, I think the big, and then when you get to the Northampton arc, I think that's where she takes overs for like doing a whole arc of a series in that series, and that's one of my favorites.
Okay, because I've been hearing about this Northampton story arc, and I didn't know that's when she took over.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, it's really good. It's one of my favorites. Just great dives into the characters, especially it's like an aftermath story of something big that happens, or one of the first big events of the comics. That was great too. So I can't wait for you to get to those. So yeah,
all right.
More great turtle goodness is in store for you, Dane. And I can't wait for you to read it.
Good.
So yeah, that's what we've been doing these last few weeks. Turtles, Final Fantasy, and for me, I'm not sure if you're caught up on Clone Wars, Dane. Have you watched Clone Wars this last season?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay.
I haven't. So, by the way, if you have watched it, don't tweet about it. You know?
So let me guess, you know what happens in the final episode.
No, because all I saw was, I can't believe, and that's it. And I was like, okay, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I will just say it ended perfectly. It was amazing. So definitely check that out too.
With Ahsoka?
Ahsoka, yeah, and Rex and Maul, they all play a role.
Okay, because I saw something about Ahsoka, so.
Yeah, it's just so beautifully done. It was just... talk about another thing that lived up to expectations, like Final Fantasy VII Remake did. That Clone Wars finale really did. It was beautiful.
Did you cry, Tim?
Didn't cry, but I got a little emotional. I'm not gonna lie. I just felt like the perfect special ending for a series I've been following since 2008, and spending all these years with these characters. It just really got you for what went down. So it definitely ended on an emotional level, which was fitting for the story. So yeah, make sure you watch that eventually.
Is the Netflix season on that one?
Yeah, everything's on Disney Plus.
Oh, on Disney Plus? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're all there, yeah. So yes, Clone Wars, Final Fantasy, that's been consuming my free time these last few weeks. And gotta throw some turtles in there now, because I'm caught up on the comics, and there's been a delay. But there's some like miniseries I haven't read that maybe I can dive back into because just talking about turtles with you, Dane, is wanting me to go back and read some of those comics, and maybe reread some of the ones I've already read, and maybe some I haven't. So maybe I'll be doing that as well.
But read it, Tim.
Yeah, they're that good. They really are. Especially, I was gonna say those early issues just are, really, as you know, just really good at just setting up those characters. I just love it so much. But on the Batman news side of things, it's still been kind of slow. The only really big news we've gotten is just some release dates pushback for the Batman and the Batman 3 Jokers story that's going to be coming out. Because the Batman got pushed from June 2021 to October 2021, which was expected. But it's going to be our first time getting a Batman movie in the fall, which is, I don't know, might feel a little strange, and kind of sucks that we got to wait just a little bit longer. But Batman in October kind of seems right and seems fitting for a new Batman movie to be released there. And we've gotten some quotes.
You know what they should do? You know what they should do? They should release it around Christmas time.
Well, there's not going to be a Star Wars movie there for a little bit. So
there's not going to be a Star Wars movie. Release it during Christmas time.
Yeah. But at the same time, rather have it sooner than later. So I'm fine with October 1st. We've got some quotes from Andy Serkis talking about it, saying how it's going to be the darkest version of Batman we're going to see, even darker than the Nolan films, which I've kind of seen some pushback on that. People saying we don't need more darker Batman during this time and whatnot. To me, I just think you got to have a right balance where, yeah, Batman is obviously a darker character. We've got some great stories where it's darker than some of the other more lighter tone Batman stories. But at the same time, I'm hoping it's something where there's room to have that lighter element. And basically what I mean by that I'm just hoping to see Robin in this hopefully planned trilogy at some point, and it's not going to be one of those things where it's so dark you can't have a kid dressing up and fighting crime with Batman. That'll take away from the seriousness and the darkness of it. It's like, no, that's not true. So I'm hopefully it's not when they say darker than everything we've seen before means it's not going to have room for those elements of the Batman mythos that I'm still hoping to see in movies again. But I do like how Andy Serkis says the relationship between Bruce and Alfred is really going to be a crux of this story, which I'm always up for more Alfred Batman centered stories. And we got some of that obviously in the Nolan films, but if it's expanded on even more than was done in those series, I'd be all for it. So I'm just excited to see Alfred's portrayal by Andy Serkis. I just can't wait to see what he brings to the role. But other than that, yeah, Batman the Three Jokers got pushed to August 25th. It almost seems like one of those comics that's never going to come out, but it was supposed to be out this month in May, but understandably so due to everything going on with COVID and the whole Diamond scenario going on with not shipping any books. Definitely understand these stories or the story getting pushed back, but it's looking fantastic. And it's going to be a 48-page issue. It's only going to be 3 issues, but each one's going to be 48 pages, and the artwork looks incredible. I'm intrigued by the story, so definitely one of the big comics I'm looking forward to. But yeah, that's kind of it for the Batman new stuff going on, at least the ones that are piquing interest to me and obviously everyone regarding the movie and some big comic stories. So, but speaking of comics, I do have one comic review to do. The 3rd issue of Batman The Adventures Continue has been out for a couple of weeks now, and I actually just read it not too long ago, and I'm interested to talking about it because it was a really cool issue. So, as always, before we get into the review, got to throw out the spoiler warning because I will be going into all the big stuff that happens in there. And also for a rating scale, I think I got one already, Dane. What do you think? New dead media.
I also. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say new dead media formats that are discovered on YouTube.
Okay. My rating scale is products that the Turtles would try to sell to you.
Hey, why not use both?
Yeah,
I'll see if I can squeeze it in there after this review. So yeah, this issue of Batman the Adventure Continues starts a new story arc, and it's a pretty big one because a big character is introduced into the Batman the Animated Series continuity, and that is Deathstroke. And right away, I'm loving what Alan Burnett and Paul Dini are doing with him in this first issue and bringing him into the Batman the Animated Series universe. And they're slowly pulling back the curtains on the Jason Todd mystery, or at least showing more of him. And I really like how this story begins where we see Jason kind of doing a monologue as we see people running away from a Gotham movie theater. And he makes a kind of a joke saying, you know, tonight looks like this movie's going to have a sequel, or more accurately, a reboot. Kind of, you know, making reference to himself as a Robin, and then seeing Tim Drake in action here, kind of as the rebooted Robin here. So just a little nice play on words there, describing the scenario, because we see Batman, Batgirl, and Robin taking on Clayface, as he's very upset that they're making a reboot of one of his old movies and he's not in it, and he's going to destroy that movie theater. Kind of ridiculous that he'd react that way, but that actually gets explained later on. But it's a fun fight scene, seeing Batman, Robin, and Batgirl take on Clayface. And there's this great moment that harkens back to one of the best episodes of the new Batman adventure, as Tim goes to chase Clayface as he's making his way down an alley. Tim's all, there's nothing he can do that I can't handle. But then as he turns the corner, he sees Annie from the episode Growing Pains, which obviously makes him pause. And she just calls out for help, saying, like, Robin, help. And Barbara thinks Tim's going to fall for it. But I like how they did it where Tim's smarter than this. And because Batgirl goes, wait, that's not. He goes, oh, yes, it is. That's the worst mistake Clayface ever made. And he just throws kind of a freeze bomb on Annie, but knowing that's not really her. And it's this Clayface trying to deceive him and play on his emotions there. So I thought that was a great moment for Tim, kind of harkening back to that episode, but showing how his maturity and growing from that, which was nice. So as Jason's all watching this go down, they freeze Clayface, but they get help from Deathstroke coming down and taking down Clayface with them. And I like the design here. Again, it's in that Bruce Timm style, and they're going more for the original Deathstroke costume design, where it's not really full-blown armor. It's not a helmet. It's just the kind of a cloth mask with the bandanas there. This looks really cool seeing him in this animated series style. and he's offering his help to Batman and Robin and Batgirl, and he's saying how it was impressive seeing them take down Clayface, but Batman is already skeptical, and he's known the reputation of Deathstroke. He's never met him before, but he's heard of him, and he knows the name associated with that mask. So Batman is already skeptical of what Slade Wilson's going to do and what his agenda is. And so he actually meets up with Batgirl after she takes down Roxy Rocket, again showing how impressed he is with her and Robin and their abilities, all due to Batman's training and how much he respects that. But does say there's a better opportunity for both of them to move on beyond Batman and Gotham City. But Batgirl declines, and Jason is watching all this from the rooftops. And I like how Slade Wilson just goes, there's so much more you can learn, because for example, do you know we're being watched right now? And he spots Jason, and Jason just has to hurry up and run, knowing that this isn't the time to reveal himself. So Barbara tells Bruce and Tim about her encounter with him over breakfast, and Bruce is just telling him, keep your distance. He's obviously wants something from you guys. So even though he's trying to flatter you with compliments, while those compliments are true, he says, don't be so trusting of Deathstroke. So obviously Barbara and Tim are aware of that, and Batman's just going to try to focus to learn more about him. And then at the end, we see Deathstroke bust into this warehouse, shoot up some target practice dummies, and then he meets this girl called Sunny. And then it's revealed that they orchestrated the whole Clayface attack. They tricked him thinking they had a cure, but actually it just aggravated his paranoia and savagery, as she describes it, making him so upset with them trying to reboot a movie. That drug they gave him just made her overreact to that and cause trouble, which drew out Batman, Robin, and Batgirl, which is exactly what Deathstroke wanted to do. And so they don't know exactly or reveal what his mission is or his end game is, but knowing that he just wants to earn the trust of the Bat family right here, and then kind of learn what doesn't know it is Jason, but he wants to learn who this mystery man is who's been watching him. So the issue ends with him stabbing one of those dummies that's actually a Batman dummy. So we know he has it out for Batman. We just don't know exactly what that is just yet. But I love this issue. I love the introduction to Deathstroke. It's just really cool getting him in this universe now and setting up what I think is going to be a really cool confrontation between him and Batman. And I'm just really curious to see how Jason is going to fit into all this, and just learning more about his history and where he fits in the timeline. So again, just another great issue. I'm loving the series and how it's continuing the Batman the Animated Series story. So I'm going to give this one 4.5 out of new dead media formats found on YouTube, along with 4.5 licensed items that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles tried to sell you back in the 90s. So more great dead media formats and more great Ninja Turtles selling pitches that this issue gave me. So yeah,
it's a lot of products then.
Got some Pepsi, got some pizza, some Burger King. So I'm set for my meals for this day after that issue.
Good.
But with that, that's going to do it for this episode. Good to be back talking about all the geeky stuff we're into and been doing over these last couple of weeks. So, and next one we'll be back for episode 200. Not sure what it's actually going to be about yet, but it should be a big one, and obviously a milestone for the podcast that we can't wait to record and talk about. So should be fun. But as always, I'll go ahead and throw it to you, Dane, for the outro.
All right, just go over to the BatmanUniverse.net, Facebook.com/BatmanUniverse, Twitter handles @BatmanUniverse. You follow Tim at TimG311, and you follow me at Dane Says Banana. Rate and reviews on iTunes, and you can email the show at batfans@allfans@gmail.com. Oh, sorry. The show's Twitter handle is @BatFansPodcast. I don't think I said that. So with that, like we say at the end of every single episode,
we love each and every one of you with all of our hearts, licensed by the Teenage Mutant Ninja
Turtles. See you guys next time.
See you next time, everybody.